Hello there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond with yet another Degrassi video, and it is May 23rd, 2020. And I was influenced on this by a guy or girl, I should say, named Ghostly Will Caffer. Willa Caffer? And basically, what they did is they actually put the best and worst season finales for Degrassi and said that all of them from seasons 1 to 14. Of course, 1 to 14 and then next class. Of course, they didn't put the movie events as the last episodes because, well, if they were just movie events, I didn't think that would be a good idea. So I kind of liked it. So anyway, so Ghostly Will Caffer did that, and I should give mention to that person. So anyway, so what I did is, of course, they put up all the season finales and the episodes and the centric characters, like the characters who were in this. Now, I didn't rank the bottom 8. Well, I know there are 18 season finales, but I decided to rank my top 10 list. And of course, you know, my top 10 list is different than everyone else's, so it is what it is. So anyway, so the top 10. So, of course, the top 10 will be basically my ranking. But I'll give you the 8 season finales that I did not put on the list. Okay, so the 8 season finales that are not in the top 10 are, in chronological order, Season 5's High Fidelity with Spinner. Now, I know that a lot of people probably say, well, wait a minute. This was the end of Spinner's redemption song about getting his friends back and having Jimmy finally forgive him for Spinner's role in accidentally getting Jimmy shot. Now, of course, in season 4, in Time Stands Still Part 2, Jay and Spinner trick Rick into shooting Jimmy. But because, you know, the painted feathers thing, and Spinner thought he was going to be found out, and Jay was trying to help out. Of course, they didn't know that Rick had a gun, and of course, Spinner confessed to everything, got expelled alongside Jay, and then Spinner came back and wanted to make sure he redeemed himself. He got Darcy, you know, Darcy, the Christian girl, and all that, trying to help her out and all that. But Darcy became hypocritical, and basically, Spinner didn't want to be with her. So basically, Spinner finally gets Jimmy to talk to him at the end of the season. So basically, everything is patched up between him and Jimmy. Good. Season 6 was Don't You Want Me with Alex. It was basically the high point of the Palex thing. You know, Paige and Alex and all that. So anyway, basically that Alex was not really doing well enough for herself, and Paige was being a fashion designer or something like that. It seemed kind of weird how those two matched as a couple. I mean, Paige had to leave Banting because of her anxiety attacks, and Alex just wasn't really going anywhere. I don't know what the heck the problem was. That it was a decent lesbian relationship, but I just thinking that Alex could have done a lot more. Season 8 was Danger Zone with Holly J. I don't know much about some of these season finales, so I don't know about Holly J. I know season 8 was basically the season that saw the chef just ruin the school and Jane's molestation storyline. Season 9 was Keep on Loving You with Holly J and Declan. I can't remember what that's about. I guess they want a relationship with Declan's going back to New York City. Season 10 was Stop the World with Claire and Eli. I bet you this was basically when Claire basically breaks it off of Eli because of him being manipulative as fuck. Season 11 in The Cold Cold Night with Fiona. Now, this was a close one, but, like, I know Fiona was trying to piece her life together after Bobby's abuse and her alcoholism. But I think that it wasn't that bad. Season 12 was The Time of My Life with Fiona and Imogen. Fiona decided to get into a lesbian relationship with somebody. She actually is attracted to Holly J, but Holly J doesn't swing that way, so Imogen tries to help her out. But things slip up there. Season 13, Thunderstruck with Maya and Zoe. Of course, this was in the aftermath of the rape trial that Zoe got her got her results as because her two accusers are put in jail for a couple of years. All that. Of course, Maya was upset with Zoe stealing Miles and all that from her. And basically, this was when Maya basically wanted to help. No, she didn't really want to help Miles up. I think she wanted a clean relationship because, Miles' problems in season 12. So yeah, they talk to each other. And that's it. So it's strange how all the next class ones were pretty cool and all that. Okay, so it's time to count down. First of all, at number 10 is season 3's The Power of Love with Jimmy as a central character. Now, this episode was basically the prom episode that basically Marco sets up a nice prom and all that. And Jimmy with, I forget the other ones. I think Spinner, Paige, and was it Hazel or something? Or was it Ashley? No. Well, they go to the prom and they get in a lot of weird events. Like they go to a restaurant and Jimmy is told that his food includes 2 extra unpaid dinners. But of course, in a previous episode, Spinner, Paige, and Ashley want to play hooky to try to find Terry at the hospital. Terry got comatose thanks to Rick. So anyway, anything that could go wrong goes wrong. Billy Ray Cyrus actually was the limo driver in that episode. That Power of Love, cool. But of course, the prom gets hurt because of some bad curtains that Marco picked out and all that. Number 9 was Going Down the Road from season 4 with Craig. It's kind of strange how that was the season finale. But anyway, Going Down the Road was when Jay and Silent Bob decided to do a movie at Degrassi, despite the fact that Degrassi went through the Rick Murray situation. So they talk about the movie. Craig is made to do the music for the movie, but unfortunately Craig's mind is in the gutter as Ashley announces she's going to England with her father and all that, and that she probably meets a guy and all that. Craig wants to go to England, but he can't. And Joey actually tries to stay with Caitlin, but Caitlin is more attracted to Kevin Smith. That kind of sucks. But anyway, so Craig goes off the rails. He doesn't take his medication for his bipolar things. He ends up on the streets. He ends up at a men's shelter and all that. He actually ends up being in the boiler room at Degrassi and all that. They do find him, and they do get the medication and do get him some help and all that. So that's good. Number 8 was Sorry Not Sorry from Next Class season 1, or season 15, if you will. This was Hunter and Miles. Hunter basically was starting to get a little peeved off with people's perceptions of him and all that. So basically, Hunter decides to take action against the students that have wronged him. He brings a gun to the school, but thankfully Miles cuts him off and manages to calm Hunter down. And I think Principal Simpson calmed them down too, because he said something about a boy carrying a gun into the school, that being Rick. Hunter was going to end up being like Rick Murray and all that. Hunter went to a psychiatric hospital. It gets better, but he's not completely there. He has a relationship with Yale, but unfortunately Yale wants to come out as being, identity queer or something like that? Or non-binary? So basically, Hunter gets laughed at for that relationship. Number 7 is Jagged Little Pill with Ashley. That was from season 1. Now the reason, this is high up, is because Ashley was trying to get into a decent relationship with Jimmy, and basically Ashley thought that taking ecstasy would help matters. It didn't. It wrecked everything with Jimmy and with Paige and all that. Now, to be fair, Paige actually, in season 2, wasn't really too helpful towards Ashley. Basically, she tries to burn Ashley. I mean, Ashley's trying to apologize for her ecstasy taking, but Paige has nothing to it. And then Ashley turns off. Anyway, Ashley, well, yeah, the ecstasy. And then, JT and Toby try to take ecstasy too, but Sean switches that with with vitamin pills. So basically Sean was being responsible. Number 6 is We Built This City from season 7. It's a Liberty line. Well, this was actually the graduation of the Emma class of Next Generation. Well, we know that Paige and her group graduated in season 6. No, season 5, sorry. Was it 5? Yeah, it was 5. But anyway, season 7 was We Built the City. No, 6 and 7 were one full year after that. School year after that. Shit, I forgot about that. But anyway, season 7, We Built the City, was when massive graduation class happens. This was the one where Spinner and Jimmy in the same graduation class and all that. With Emma, Manny, Toby, Liberty. So, of course, in season 7, that's when Lakehurst had to move in with Degrassi because of their school catching on fire. So, basically, Lakehurst students and Degrassi students had that rivalry. Of course, Lakehurst stabbed JT and all that. But anyway, Liberty was having a secret relationship with Damien. Unfortunately, Damien was supposed to be in a relationship with Emma. Toby knew, and Toby basically spills the beans about Liberty's relationship with Damien, and basically they're bragging about it. Damien's bragging about it. Liberty feels terrible about what she did to Emma, and runs off in the middle of her speech. Also, Toby was shown to be quite angry when Liberty didn't want any mention of JT, because, JT got stabbed just before his graduation. But thankfully, though, the school pays homage to JT by having the memorial garden named after him. Liberty is told by Emma that everything is okay. Damien is the one who's the asshole, not her. And she didn't want to break up a friendship over that. But of course, that kind of happened in season 4 when Emma was pissed off that Liberty might go out with Chris after Chris and Emma broke up. And Liberty made Emma persona non grata. So anyway, I think Emma knew that stuff. And the last scene was very touching about how they put a graduation cap on JT's tribute and then turned it to the left because he graduated with them. Number 5 is finally with Drew, season 14. So anyway, season 14 was full of drama. They had the Degrassi nude scandal, Zoe nearly going to jail, but thankfully she didn't. In her mind, she should have been. Principal Simpson being released in the middle of the season because of his lack of involvement in the Degrassi nudes area. And then, of course, Principal Pill coming in and basically putting in policies that kind of work when you wanted them and didn't work. So, of course, the backpacks and cell phone policy, fair enough. The cameras in the halls, it would have worked out decently. But she was spying them, trying to see how much of a job she's doing. And she wants to help the students and all that. But, of course, Claire smashes them up. And basically, she gets mad at Claire. And, of course, the no affection policy. How the hell is affection going to ruin things at Degrassi? I just don't get it. I just never got it with her. Drew got in trouble for trying to do a promposal with Becky. And he was not allowed to go to prom. Drew actually obeys her and doesn't go to prom, but Drew's mom basically tells him that you need to help with the prom, especially with the fact that Dallas accidentally booked a boat 1 year too late. Obviously, that the boat was supposed to be for the year after. So Drew basically puts on the prom at the school, which was great and all that, but Pill has a fit because, Drew broke in with the codes. And Drew was the only one that knew about the codes as student council president. She wants Drew to out people, too, that helped him out. Drew refuses. Drew is told that you will graduate, but you will not get your diploma on stage, and says that I have to ensure that everybody coming back next year plays by my rules. Dallas sees that and talks to the other seniors. And they have a cap saying, "We love you, Drew." and all that. But Pill relents, saying that, the school shows solidarity. So Drew is on stage and gets his diploma. Thank goodness for that. Now, of course, Pill being dumped off the next season. I think it was planned that way because the school boards figured that Simpson had not a lot of involvement in Degrassi News and didn't have any knowledge. So practically, Simpson is back on. And I think that Pill's problems caught up with her because Drew's mom had a say in the school board and basically might have said something. Number 4 is Tears Are Not Enough. This was Craig's one from season 2. So basically, Craig has been going through a massive crisis in season 2. We find out that he's actually Joey's stepson in a sense, because Craig's mom, Julia, left Albert, Craig's dad, for Joey. And basically, Craig hangs out around his half-sister, Angela. And of course, we know that Craig's dad possibly beat up Craig with anger because Julia left him. And all that. So, of course, Craig lives with Joey for some time. Craig's dad finally gets Craig back and wants to make amends with him. Craig doesn't understand. Craig is just so angry and all that. And then his dad somehow dies in a car crash. Craig doesn't know how to feel. He feels sad that his dad died. But on the other hand, he feels relief because his dad, the abuser, actually is no longer around to abuse him. So basically, Craig goes through a crisis of how to feel and all that. He goes off the rails at the luau dance. He and Ashley were given luau king and queen, I think because of sympathy. But basically, he imagines his dad being there and wants to go attack him and all that. So he hurts the school's luau decorations and all that. Raj, to his credit, actually knows what Craig's feeling and says basically, let Craig blow some steam. Terry is the one that calms Craig down, which was amazing because Terry also had a problem because her mom died when Terry was at a sleepover playing pin the tail on a donkey. So anyway, Craig apologizes to everyone and they understand. Yeah, it's funny how the top 3 are from next class, but the storylines are huge. Number 3 and funny enough, the top 3 is chronological. Number 3 is OMFG from the next class, season 2, or season 16, if you will. Basically, the school's volleyball team is in the finals against Northern Tech. Unfortunately, Northern Tech is the high school that got offended by Frankie's poster. Racist poster. Racist in quotation marks, of course. Kind of in the Sioux. The school is called the Sioux. And all that. But, Frankie apologized. All that, she tried. She tried her best. And, of course, some members of the school didn't accept her apology. I think they also made it about Black Lives Matter and all that. But also, Frankie got shat on, in a sense, because she's a Hollingsworth, and, her dad probably hasn't helped much. Even with him being the political person. So, anyway, Frankie finds her way back on the volleyball team. They actually do quite well. Unfortunately, though, they get the sad news that there's been a bus crash, and it looks like a Degrassi bus. Of course, a lot of boosters like Tristan, Maya, and some other students come by, and then they get in the crash. That leads to season 3's biggest moves. Next one, season 3, and then that means number 2 on this list, and that's I'm Sleep with Maya. Basically, Maya goes through an anxiety and depression mode because of how Tristan nearly died and all that. I think she feels guilty that she was in a bus crash and people died around her, although no one died. For some reason, it brought Maya's problems with Cam back in the fold about anxiety and depression and trying to help people out. And she tries her best to fix things, but she can't. So she decides to take some pills, listen to music, and, fall asleep on the bus and die and never wake up. Unfortunately for her, Maya's plan falls, and she says, I'm not doing anything right. So she decides to jump off the roof. Unfortunately, though, it failed. That plan fails, but mostly because Sig and Esme actually had a funny feeling about Maya, and they both saved Maya's life. Esme knows full well because her mother took her own life in front of Esme, so she helps out. And Maya is in the hospital. Thankfully, she makes a full recovery, and she's be fine. But unfortunately, that episode was kind of controversial near the end when Tristan, who woke up from his coma, said, "I want pizza." And people are like, well, did Tristan try to take attention away from Maya on purpose? Well, I know that Tristan and Maya had some issues, but I think that it was just that Tristan's mind wasn't working as well. It's like cancer brain. It's like Claire's cancer brain and all that. Chemo brain, excuse me. So yeah, so that's definitely number 2 because we almost saw Maya die. And number 1, what else? The series finale, if you will. Okay, thanks, bye. Obviously, this has to be number 1. I mean, you got to pay homage to a series finale that actually was a good series finale. Not like Seinfeld, not like How I Met Your Mother, and definitely not like Game of Thrones. But yeah, K-Thanks Bye had a lot of storylines in it. There was the fallout from Esme crashing the prom to try to get to Sig, who was with Maya at the prom. Maya accidentally asked Sig to the prom, like it was her fault. And Maya tries her best to get Sig to try to talk to Esme, go to Esme, and help her out. Maya felt guilty that she went to the prom with Sig. And then after what Esme did to Sig and put him, not in the hospital, but like gave him a black eye or something like that, injured him, Maya didn't want to go to graduation because she felt that it was her fault. But Grace thankfully decides to help Maya out and basically tells Maya what does the therapist say and all that. So basically Maya goes through the notions taking it one step at a time and that people don't hate her. So anyway, so that's what Maya does and she's fine. Unfortunately, Esme is nowhere to be found. But as it turns out, it would have been a moot point for her to graduate because she actually ended up missing the last month of classes for some strange reason, and that's an automatic failure. So basically, Esme shows up with a motorcycle because she knows that Sig likes motorcycles and wants to be with Sig. Sig tries to tell Esme that you got to get better and all that. Esme beats him up with the bicycle helmet. Thankfully, the guidance counselor calms Esme down, saying that it's never too late to admit your problems. And Esme starts crying and all that. So basically, it was revealed that Maya actually told the therapist about Esme, saying that Maya needed to help Esme. And someone needed to do it because no one else was helping her. And that's great. I liked Maya for that. I mean, for just how annoying she seems to be, Maya actually did the right thing with Esme and all that. So, of course, we get the other subplot is that Zoe's mom is not willing to go to graduation. Of course, Zoe begs her mom to come by, saying that it's all right, everything will be okay. And she thinks that her mom actually changed her mind. Now, of course, Zoe's mom was not willing to go to graduation because she was mad at Zoe. Now, of course, there was 2 reasons why she was mad. One was because Zoe was starting not to get any like TV or movie roles. I guess because Zoe admitted her homosexuality and people thought that, she wasn't getting roles because they didn't want to deal with a lesbian, which is kind of stupid. It's on their heads, not hers. And of course, Zoe's mom rides her like a cash cow. It's obvious sometimes that Zoe's mom basically lives off her daughter. And of course, when Zoe wasn't getting the roles and Zoe admitted she was gay, she kicked Zoe to the curb and Zoe moves in with Grace, in a sense. And number 2, of course, is Zoe's mom is a Catholic, and most Catholics don't want anything to do with homosexuality. I guess because of shame, because of the chain of shame and all that. I mean, some Catholic churches are okay with homosexuality, but a lot of them aren't. And all that. But I think it was because of the cash cow thing. It makes much more sense, but I mean, the religion thing also works out too, because Degrassi and religion just doesn't make sense. sometimes. So anyway, Zoe's mom doesn't show up. Zoe's dad gives her documents for college. I guess she couldn't do it. She couldn't face the shame. I don't think she would have been ashamed. They probably would have been pointing fingers at her for pushing her daughter into roles and all that. I don't think it was the religion thing. But anyway, Zoe decides to make her valedictorian speech to everyone, saying that she doesn't care about her family. She has a family of friends. And the montage at the end, fantastic. I liked it. We see Winston and Miles backpacking through Europe and all that. Winston and Goldie being the new power couple, being in university together, like that. Zoe with pictures with Rasha, both looking stunning. Someone in the hospital bed with maybe Jonah or Sig, but as it turns out, it was Grace, who finally got the lung transplant to help her cystic fibrosis. So she's starting to breathe a lot better. All that. I'm just trying to think. Was there another? Oh yeah, Tiny and Shay saying goodbye. Them going their ways through university and all that. And I think Shay was 1 year behind. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that just before the montage, Lola and Syed have a moment. Syed decides to move to Montreal because of how, everyone thought that he phoned in that bomb threat during prom, but it wasn't. It was Esme's fault. But Lola convinces him to stay. And of course we get Sig and Maya going to California because Maya got a scholarship in California and all that. I feel so bad. I mean, like, last class that one actually left some unanswered questions, especially with Esme. What's Esme's diagnosis for her problems, and will she fix it? And I know a lot of people are probably also saying that we also didn't get the storyline with Jack Simpson, Snake's kid. That's better for fanfic. So anyway, thanks for watching this Degrassi episode, and there'll be more to come in the days ahead.